Hello YouTube. Uh, Today I got asked a question about the flash sinks on a spotmatic. This here is a spotmatic. What we're talking about is these two plugs here, the X and the FP. The X, as far as I understand it, what I have always used, because I use electronic flashes, is the X plug. The FP, which I think means, but don't quote me on this, focal plane, has a millisecond delay built into it so that a flash bulb can go off while the plane shutter is not fully open yet. The X plug will go off when the shutter is fully open, because the speed and duration of an electronic flash is so much faster, it can work that way. Let me show you the workings here. So this is my donor camera. This had the leatherettes stripped off. Screws are out, and I can take the front of the camera off. And on the inside of the faceplate, you'll see there's two lugs for the two ports. And if I take out the shutter assembly, we can see, I'm going to try and give you a decent view of this. You can see where, if we put the two halves together, you can see where there are two tabs, each that push on the back side of the center pin of the two flash ports. On this lower one right here, it has a third tab. Now what that one does is it presses against the outside body of the X port, and I believe that's creating a ground. I'm not sure which direction the electricity is traveling in this. For this discussion, it doesn't really matter. The flash circuit is isolated from all the rest of the electronics, limited though they are. It's completely isolated from the other electronics. The flashes for these old cameras are self-powering, so all this is doing is creating a circuit that opens and closes depending on the situation. Now a closer look, I'm really hoping you can see that. A closer look at this will show. I'm going to move this wire out of the way. There's a pair of contacts right here. These are the contacts that close when you turn on this switch right here for your your internal light meter. That's this gizmo here, and the two little light gathering whatchamacallits. So that closes when you turn that switch on. So that is not part really of the flash circuit. The flash circuit is these pair of contacts right here. Now those contacts are actuated every time the shutter, actually every time the mirror flexes. So if you can see that, watching right here, there's a yellow tab sticking out of one of the arms. When that mirror closes, you can see that the levers work in harmony and close that contact right there. Now that allows the circuit to close for both of the flash ports. These are both wired together. They both go off at the same time. I can see no difference really from one to the other. If we assume that this red wire is positive, both of these tabs would be positively charged. When the circuit is closed like that, that allows the circuit to ground on this side. And as I said, I don't see any difference from one tab to the next. They're wired identically. They're riveted to a base plate identically. It has a common contact opposite it that creates what I'm assuming to be the ground. And so I don't see, I know there's a delay built into it, but I don't know where it is. But that is what that looks like when the shutter box or the mirror box is removed. Now looking at the underside of the camera, you can see that the two wires, see the two red wires here that I've cut, would go here, and they travel down through the body of the camera, across the floor, all the way over, up, back inside the body of the camera, and go in behind. This is the timing mechanism for timed exposures. I've already taken that out. It's very modular. You remove that, and you can see the wires come up to the bottom of the body to a second set of contacts, and that is actuated. This camera is jammed tight, so I can't make it work, but apparently this pin here, as the shutter comes across, winds up and turns that and closes this circuit right here. So now, I don't know if that creates the delay from one flash port to the next. I can't tell. It doesn't look like there's any real difference one side to the next. So you can see that the flash would send its current in through whichever port it's plugged into, travel through, come up through here. The circuit would be broken because until you fire the shutter, this contact is open. Travel back through and connect to this. So if you're having trouble with one of your sockets not working, you're in for a treat if you want to try and fix it, because none of this stuff can be accessed without first peeling the leathers off the front and removing that face off the camera. It's not hard, it's not complicated, but your camera is probably not going to be the same because you have to really do some significant disassembly. Just taking the leathers off almost guarantees that they're not going to go back together exactly the way they came apart. I've re-leathered a couple of cameras and it's worked out okay, but they just aren't the same as the factory. And then once you get that apart, you've got to make sure that both of these tabs, you'll make sure that both of those tabs are contacting both of those tabs. You have to make sure that when that mirror goes up, that set of contacts closes. You're going to have to verify somehow that when the shutter is released, this contact closes. So there's several issues or potential issues that it could be. And if you want to see, I hope you can see, if you want to see how the switch here works for the internal light meter, when you press that up, it presses on this point here, presses that up and closes those contacts. That makes your light meter work. That turns on your light meter. When you release it, it opens those contacts. Oops, I gotta release this thing. There. It opens those contacts and saves your battery life. So I'm not sure what you can take from this other than a view of what's in here and how it works and what you can potentially do. It's not unfixable, but it's a lot of stuff to take apart. There's a lot of parts to keep track of, like all these little shims. I found out later on that these are not leveling shims like I thought they were. They were micro adjustments for the way the lens sits on the face of the camera, ensuring that it's in proper alignment with the film plane. And if you wanted to see also your self timer, when if you're gonna wind that up, which would be pulling this lever down, as it winds down, and it's got a little spring on the back, just a little clockwork. It's got a spring on the back, and when that thing winds down, this arm here presses on this roller here, driving that pin down, which is what trips your shutter from underneath here. So that's all I wanted to show you. I hope that was useful to you. If you run into these problems, best I can say is good luck and Godspeed. So until next time, bye.